Spill the water. Good morning and welcome to the June 16th meeting of the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors. Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Supervisor Pine,
Here.
Supervisor Horsley,
Here.
Supervisor Slocum, Supervisor Tessier, President Groom.
Present. We'll now begin with public comment, which is an item reserved for those who have comments that are not on this agenda, that are listed on the consent calendar, the county manager's report, or the regular agenda, or board member reports on the regular agenda. And I'd like to call Wynn Gurish.
Hi, my name is Wynn Gersich, and I came here today to talk about a few things about our recycled toilet water. I knew back in 2007 there was an article written by Linda Rapatuni, Water Everywhere, Not a Drop to Drink, and she said the recycled toilet water providers were passing laws not to be held liable if the water's harmful in the future. Numerous articles came out in the newspaper about the recycled toilet water being toxic and how it makes NDMA, which is a probable human carcinogen. And what I did was I did go to Millbrae and I told them about the medicines in the water, that they should put a pharmaceutical drop-off, and Millbrae was the first one on the peninsula to do it. And then I went to Bosqua, and here's the article that I wrote. It was in 2007, and I told them to go statewide. And Adriana Tischerary trashed me, claiming that don't take credit when credit isn't due. So I want to show you that it was on public record. I continued to go to Bosqua to ask for this. She took me up on it, and she got an award for it. So here's one of the articles to prove it. And I don't want to be trashed by anybody because I didn't spend all these years going to Boswell since 2003 for nothing. And secondly is the fact that Dr. Wynn Parker wrote chloramine causes collateral health damage. This article has now become reading in all the chemistry classes in high school because they know chloramine is poison. And it kills your kidneys, and it does all kinds of good stuff. And they had to add all these kidney dialysis places after they put the ammonia in the drinking water, and we know we can't boil the ammonia out, right? So when you recycle the toilet water and you continue to add more and more and more, it's going to make it really bad for us. So we can use alternative technology to disinfect the water using ozonization, microfiltration, ultraviolet lights, and laser plasma. Now, the thing about recycled toilet water is when Jackie Spears put the fluoride in the drinking water, and we put toothpaste down the drain, and you're putting 1,500 parts per million fluoride from the toothpaste, and 30,000 parts per million from the floral gels, and you're continuing to recycle the water, and you can't get these medicines out. How on earth do you think, how much fluoride do you think's in that water? We need to get fluoridation stopped because it's got too much in it already, especially from the fluoridated medicines. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gersich. Supervisor Tissier?
I'd just like to set the record straight. I see your article is in 2007. I initiated the pharmaceutical disposal in 2005, so I was... you had your chance. You had your chance. I just want to correct the record that I don't trash anybody at any meeting. I correct the record.
Ma'am? Mr. Fox, you have a card, but it's about Laura's Law, and that's on the agenda. So I'm going to call James Stansberry.
Good morning, Supervisors. I'm back. Again, you know, this is kind of my last shot at what's happened with residential substance abuse financing and capabilities. In the last 4 years for San Mateo, we've gone from 100-something beds down to 37, but the need has gone up. And I spoke with you each, had communications with each of you in the last 4 or 7 months saying, you know, this is critical and something needs to be done. 2 months ago, Our Common Ground and Project 90 were here. We're reducing the amounts that are available now, and you know we seem to be in limbo as to as to getting something resolved. And I understand that it comes from the federal government down to the state government and whatever, but it's San Mateo people who need the treatment and are not getting it. So, you know, up to this point, people are asking what are our aims to go forward, and at this time, the rules and the compensation haven't been set up, so it's really impossible to make plans without some focus back from how would you do that. You know, the county wouldn't make a business plan without having information to do it, and we're still waiting for a waiver that's been in place from the state for over a year, going on a year. People keep, and I'm sure staff has told you that momentarily it'll be corrected. Depending on who you talk to, it could be another year before that this is taken care of. So those of us that have been providing service, and in my own organization, 42 years with San Mateo County, we're looking at being forced out economically, not because we don't want to keep serving these clients, but because there just isn't an alternative. And we've not seen a plan that would enable us to stay. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stansberry. Chris Taylor?
Good morning. I'm here to speak a little bit about rent control and just cause for eviction. My wife and I are both teachers at Garfield Community School. We're Stanford graduates. We really enjoy being here in Redwood City. But we know that the way that cost of living is increasing, it's making it harder and harder for families like mine, middle-class families, to stay. And that's not to mention the families that I serve, my clients, the working class students at Garfield Elementary School. We've lost about 32 students in the past couple years, and our funding is based on state aid. So when we lose students, we lose funding. There's a lot more students who we haven't lost, but that are really struggling, and this really, I can say personally that this really affects their ability to focus in class and their success. They've written letters to the supervisors, sort of going more in depth on their personal experiences with this struggle. But I just wanted to say publicly that I really believe that we need policies here in Redwood City that support our hardworking students, our hardworking families, and support infrastructure for the future of Redwood City. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. David Coark. C-O-A-R-K, sir? Is that your name? C-L-A-R-K. Okay. Yes. Oh, to me.
Hello, Dave Clark. I'm working with Sustainable San Mateo, Sustainable Silicon Valley, and the Sierra Club. I forwarded a copy of the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission roadmap, or the blueprint, to Supervisor Pine and Groom, and we've exchanged emails. I want to thank you for sending Jim Eggermeyer over to the meeting last week. It's our third planning session. And this is one vital tool that we have among maybe 8 or 10 for water conservation. And so, you also sent Heather Freshy. I should tell you, at the last meeting we had public works from all the local cities. We had state representatives, and of course we had all of Santa Clara. So without getting into the details of this, it's just one tool that we have to get funding and to address the economic impact of the drought. I think that's underestimated. So we are behind. San Francisco is leading the nation. Santa Clara is right next to them. And San Mateo is about 3 years behind schedule. We don't have any funding for these projects from Prop 1, even though others are getting it. I would like you guys to support Jim Eggermeyer in hosting a meeting for the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission in the county buildings in the August timeframe, so that we can bring the county and the cities of the county up to date on this valuable tool.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Can I leave copies of the plan here?
Ron Gordon?
Good morning, Supervisors. I've only known Jim Stansbury by name on paper until he spoke today. I'm with Our Common Ground. I'm a board member there. We're another one of the providers for residential programs. Our president lives close to 3 hours away. She went through the program. She wrote a brief paragraph regarding programs in general. I was told it's best to not just focus on Our Common Ground, and I can give you something written about us at the end. But let me read Sonia's paragraph. Her name is Sonia Hale, and again, she was a resident in the program as an adolescent. Treatment is crucial if we want any chance at all to intervene in the criminal cycle of substance abuse. Generally speaking, the clients that come to OCG and similar programs were born into environments wherein a life of substance abuse and criminal behavior are nearly inevitable. Their parents are addicts, their neighbors are addicts. They are born into a cycle that a punishment system, i.e. prison, cannot break. They come without education, without esteem, without a sense of hope for any life other than what they have always known. Treatment programs like OCG provide an intervention in these lives. These programs offer supportive environments wherein not only the professional staff and clinicians, but also the client's peers provide an alternative to the lives they seem destined to lead. Programs like OCG turn criminals into productive, contributing members of our communities. OCG's graduates are teachers, police officers, counselors, and directors of nonprofit organizations. On Friday, I left with the secretary in the supervisor's office a copy of this. I'll just read a bit until my time runs out. Our Common Ground has entered a second quarter century of service. We have improved the lives of thousands who have struggled with substance abuse, co-occurring disorders, and associated problems. Our two facilities provide nearly 1/3 of the residential treatment beds available in San Mateo. As dynamic and productive and successful as we have been, Redwood City site is on the verge of having to shutter our doors. I'll leave copies of this with you. I guess I don't get an extra 2 minutes for Sonia, but that's okay. Do I just leave these here? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mike Francois?
Thank you, Board of Supervisors. Mike Francois. Just wanted to comment on a couple of things. Up in Crystal Springs, when Willie Brown was in office, he built a alternative technology plant for getting the chloramine out of the water, to keep it clean, And I think with all these high-tech companies around here, we need to extend that plant or build another one down here because of the population of the people we have down here, so we can get those chemicals, we can get those medicines, and we can get all that stuff out of the water. Because it's been proven till today, right now today, you cannot get 100% with today's technology out of the water. We need something new. Also, I met Wynn in 2005 when she came to the city council to tell us how, in East Palo Alto, how to take care of our water. And she has a lot of knowledge, and she's been doing it since 2004, going to the Bay Area Water Board meetings. Also, I brought up to you last meeting, about the recycling going on with the BFI over there, And I used to see a lot of parents and a lot of kids and a lot of husband and wife teams going in there and retrieving cardboard to cash it in for money. I don't know what makes them above the other counties, They, like Alameda County, like San Francisco County, like Santa Clara County, should pay people who want to bring cardboard in on boxes or in trucks and get compensated for it. They used to have a limit of 300 pounds. If you were like 291 pounds, they say, oh, you just dropped it off for free. If people want to clean up these streets on their own and carry it in, they should be paid for it. BFI, we're not responsible for their retirements, for their nice new pretty trucks, for paying guys triple time to work holidays. That's what they get, triple time. A garbage man gets $30-something an hour. If he works a holiday, and there are 365 days a year, if he works on a holiday, they get triple time. That's a $900 day. They told me that. So I hope you make them become like the rest of the counties around us and help us out with the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Francois. That's the last public comment card we have, and so we will now take action to set the agenda and approve consent calendar items.
I'll move to set the agenda and to approve the consent items.
Second.
Supervisor Slocum?
I'm sorry.
President, I wanted to pull from consent the regular item 60, which is the parking issue in North Fair Oaks, and as well as item 22, which is the man crates item.
Okay,
And Supervisor Groom, I just have one comment to make. Don't need to pull the item. Should I go ahead and make that now?
yes, please.
Okay. I just wanted to recognize Julia Bott, the president of our San Mateo County Parks Foundation, who's here in the audience today, and express our gratitude for the $499,410 donation that we are accepting today on the consent calendar. The foundation is a great partner with our Parks Department, both in terms of raising funds and also of getting people into our parks and promoting the programs we have in our parks. So thank you very much, Julia.
Madam President, maybe I could just make a comment on item 22.
Okay.
And then we could pull item 60 on the parking. But I just wanted to recognize man crates in the staff report. I was really impressed with the fact that they said the applicant will endeavor to employ local youth, particularly during seasonal hiring. The applicant will endeavor to employ local residents of North Fair Oaks. The applicant will not promote local alcohol sales in North Fair Oaks, and the applicant will annually report to the North Fair Oaks Community Council regarding its efforts to fulfill these conditions. I just wanted to thank Man Crates, Madam President, for the effort to hire local folks from North Fair Oaks, especially the youth. So I don't know if they're here, but I want to thank you.
Okay,
Then I'll adjust my motion to set the agenda. We'll pull item 60 and put it on the regular and approve the rest of the consent items.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I also wanted to thank the Park Foundation for all the hard work that they do, and remind everybody that in the month of August is the annual Tour de Peninsula, where a lot of money is raised for the county parks. Let's do item number 60 then. Which is a resolution authorizing the establishment of no parking zones at 2601 Spring Street and 2929 Flood Avenue.
Thank you. Just a question and comment for Mr. Porter, if I could. The item number 6 in the staff report concerns 3282 Middlefield Road, which is, as I look at it, right across the street from the Garfield School, and then across the street from there is the Chavez Market. And the proposal is to create a no parking zone from 7 in the morning, I think, until noon on the side of the Chavez Market there. Is that true?
7 until noon, yes, sir.
Yes.
Through the president.
So the concern I have is a few months ago, I had an occasion to talk to the mothers there at the school, and they were very concerned with the safety of the kids crossing streets and the fact that large trucks were parked on the street there, and families had a hard time seeing around those trucks. And I guess they were just generally concerned about the safety of that street given the market and the trucks. And I appreciate the fact that the market needs to, get its trash removed. But maybe we could make a modification to the hours, moving it from 7 to say 8:30 start time. That way, the kids will all be in school and the trucks won't be there, and it'll be a little safer for families to cross the street there.
Certainly. We could certainly do that. In terms of process, we can go back to the applicant and discuss those modifications with them to check and see if they'll work before approving it and bringing it back to your board. That might be the prudent approach.
Okay.
So that
Thanks.
they understand what the changes are and can work around those.
I appreciate that. I just know the mothers of the children who walked to school on semicircle there were very concerned about that issue.
Certainly, we can take that back and reinvestigate that and try to modify that to accommodate the school
Thank you.
the market.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Porter. So item 60 will not be acted upon today. And so the agenda has been set and the consent calendar has been approved. We'll now go to item number 1, Supervisor Pine.
Can I just ask a quick question? Is it possible, and I don't know, it doesn't matter, it's up to everyone here, but if we're only pulling D, should we approve 60A, B, and C? Would that be prudent?
Why don't we let it all come back?
Okay, I don't know what the timeliness of needing some of these loading zones might be for the businesses and things, so I just thought maybe, but that's up to
Supervisor
the board.
I'm okay with acting on the rest of the matter today, and then, but Mr. Porter may have a comment or two.
Through the president, whatever the pleasure of the board is, I think to facilitate the passage of the other items, it may be prudent to take the other items, approve those, and then we'll just come back on this one item so that we can implement the other parking restrictions.
Okay, so let's have a vote on 60B, C, and D.
Or A, B, and C? Is it,
I thought it was,
Motion to do that?
Which is the one we're pulling again?
we pull Warren.
We're pulling, just a moment. It's the last one on the list there.
D,
so I'll move to approve item 60, A, B, and C.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Supervisor Pine, proclamation.
Thank you, President Groom. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce this resolution recognizing the month of June as LGBTQ Pride Month. I'll go ahead and make that resolution now. Could we have a
So moved.
or a second? Thank you.
Second, I'm sorry.
And we'll
All in
consider
favor?
that approved. Thank you very much. So we had a terrific Pride celebration this weekend at San Mateo Park. It was the third annual Pride celebration. We take great pride in the diversity of our community and the growing visibility and presence of our LGBTQ community. The celebration this Sunday, which I attended along with Supervisor Groom, was a big success. Each year, the number of people attending is growing, and the number of providers and entertainers is growing each year. A tremendous amount of work was put into it by the LGBTQ Commission and by the San Mateo County Health System Pride Initiative. So we're really grateful for you pulling that together. It was a great event. So I have a proclamation here to present to all who'd like to come up to receive it. And then after that, we'll hear a report on the work of our new LGBTQ Commission, which you'll recall we set up about maybe going on a year ago. So let me present this proclamation.
Get out of that photo. Speaker card from Dave Clark was this, C-O-A.
Efforts to make our community more visible and to make our community feel more inclusive. And on behalf of the commission, I have to say the heavy lifting really goes to the Pride Initiative folks, and the commission was really thrilled to sponsor this. And it was awesome for both Supervisor Pine and Supervisor Groom to come to our event. And it really was a huge success. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning, President Groom. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, County Manager Maltby and County Council Byers. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of the LGBT Commission to present the annual report to the board. So it's going to be a very brief presentation, and I'm going to cover just a little bit of the background about the commission, an overview of our strategic plan, which is forthcoming along with our work plan that we're submitting to the board shortly, and our vision for a coordinated community response to the needs, the diverse needs in our community, in our county, those that reside here and those who work here. And then I'll do briefly, since we've only been in existence for 1 year, a quick rundown on our accomplishments and then conclude. So, as the board knows, thanks to the amazing board that we have here in the county and their forward thinking, they established the commission about a year ago, unanimously approved by all the board members. Thank you so very much. They then took in stakeholder input from our residents. Very quickly did a commissioner recruitment in the summer of 2014, conducted interviews, and appointed 11 commissioners in September. We had our inaugural meeting right here in the board room, and we've been going for really strong for a whole year, and it's been really a wonderful experience and an honor to be part of the commission. Here we are being sworn in. Oops. We've spent primarily our first year doing a lot of foundational work, building a strategic plan and a work plan, and I have to acknowledge Pat Brown, who's here in the audience, who, only with her capable leadership and tutelage as we were trying to figure out how to do strategic plan, and thank you so much, Pat. So we came up really quickly with a mission. It was really simple and a vision to be welcoming and safe environment where our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community members can thrive. And a vision to lead, for the county to lead, which the county already is, leading and addressing our community's diverse needs. Our overview for values, again, we have a great group of commissioners, and we just very quickly came to consensus on what our values were: to promote justice and equity, to end depression, current and historical equities that persist today in terms of access to services and access to a way of life that we can be incorporated into all aspects and all sectors of our community in our county, to ensure all voices are represented, to engender mutual respect, and really importantly, to conduct ongoing outreach and engagement and education throughout our county. What we saw at the Pride celebration was how much everybody wanted to come up to our resource table, to all of the resource tables there, and learn about what's available in our county. And they were just thrilled about your leadership in establishing the commission and putting forth plans. So again, thank you. Our goals are a bit ambitious. They don't seem ambitious in a little bulleted PowerPoint, but they really are ambitious. We intend to do a really comprehensive data collection and have any recommendation that we come to you that the commission recommends to you be supported by that data. And alongside that data, digital stories that really are personal, that explain why this is a huge impact, not just statistics. We intend to do a countywide community engagement to develop partnerships that already have begun to develop because of how much interest there is in this commission. At the Pride Initiative, all of the commissioners, folks came up and said, how can I volunteer? What can I do? What are you doing now, and how can we partner? So we all expect on the commission to be coming to you with not just commission recommendations, but really supported broadly through collaborations in this county. And again, connecting to community resources, we hope to have the community resource book have vetted resources for our diverse LGBTQ community members that will have some way of signifying that they're welcoming and friendly. And we'll be doing a lot of raising of awareness, education, training. Thanks to the tremendous work of the Pride Initiative already that's done foundational work in this county, we can work together and keep building on those strengths and raising awareness. We intend to have at least probably 3 events per calendar year that are themed towards LGBT type issues. And I'll tell you a little bit about the 3 that we did as part of our accomplishments this year. And then, as you know, getting anything underway, there's always the infrastructure stuff, which can't really be touted too much, but it's really important because in order to get the work done, you need to have that happening. And I want to say here and probably again how important Honora is, our director, to making sure she finds a way to figure out how to support us to do the work that we're doing. And she leads, she guides, she does it all, and she has the support of Donna, who's here also, who's, you know, behind the scenes doing a million things as well. So I just thank you so very much on behalf of all of the members. We just have been unable to do what we're doing but for them. So soon you'll get our strategic plan along with our work plan, which is really forthcoming soon. And you'll see the full detail of our ambitious plan. The sort of central focus of it is the needs assessment. So while there has been a lot of needs work done in the past, we haven't really done a countywide extensive comprehensive needs assessment. And we are very fortunate because of the folks that you've picked on this commission that one of the members is Professor Gabe Garcia and he is at Stanford University, and it's been through his contacts that he's actually already brought people in to assist us with the needs assessment piece. So I just want to do a call out to him, and he'd be here today except he's in Oaxaca. Lucky him. Again, part of the coordinated community response will be, again, the education piece. It's going to be critical. And what we envision are tools. The county has this amazing 2025 vision, and we've aligned our vision and our strategic plan with it. And you have these great dashboards and this wonderful person who's the dashboard guru. I don't know. Oh, he's here. Hi. And I want to give a call out to John, and I'm forgetting your last name. I'm sorry. John, we've been meeting with John, and we intend to have these dashboards have the data that's fed automatically through the county needs assessment that we're doing. It's going to autofill in there. We're going to really do actionable data so that you can start seeing over time how the data is improved and how it how you can see the recommendations that you implement, how we're building on success. So we're very proud of that. The fact that you already, again, have the infrastructure for us to do that is amazing. And we also envision having tools that some are already developed in the community or nationally and statewide, but welcoming tools that if you're in the faith community or if you're in the business community or if you're any sector of our county, that you can use on a voluntary basis a tool to self-evaluate how welcoming are you in your setting. And again, that paired with sort of digital stories of what's the impact of, you know, why do we care? Why do we want to make a place more welcoming, so that you can see the personal impact. And we intend to do that online for the most part. And then as we grow and work with our collaborators more visibly. And again, the clearinghouse of resources, and then stay tuned for our policy recommendations. And our accomplishments to date, and I said it would be brief, I need to go faster, I can tell. So I'm just say what we've been able to accomplish with your support has been hosting the statewide LGBT health disparities presentation. This was a statewide report. It's kind of lengthy, and we hosted an event that basically unveiled the information in this report in December. Then, thanks to you, we were able to observe the day of Transgender Day of Remembrance in November, and we provided training with our partners, the Pride Initiative, a full day of training, free for everyone, where we had a panel of experts, and again, Supervisor Pine and Supervisor Groom were there for that event, and we just appreciate the fact that you keep showing up and being there and supporting what we're doing. Thank you. And we've adopted our strategic plan and our annual work plan in June. And again, as we described, we co-sponsored, but again, Pride Initiative really did the heavy lifting on that Pride celebration. And with that, just another photo. I want to recognize Stevie Jolie, our commissioner, my fellow commissioner, who has already spoken to you on Transgender Day of Visibility. And without Stevie, we wouldn't be doing the work that we're doing in this area. And I just want a special call out to Stevie, and a special call out to Jay for, again, Jay's work with the Pride Initiative, coming onto the commission, doing things in collaboration constantly, and finding a way to build on the strengths that have already been laid by Jay and by the colleagues in the Department of Behavioral Mental Health. And another picture. This is Alex Newman, who's the youngest commissioner. He is extraordinary. I wish I had the amount of energy and the amount of enthusiasm and the amount of work that he's already put into this commission work. And then next to Alex is, I think it's Gabe, hiding behind those sunglasses. Gabe Garcia, who I mentioned earlier from Stanford, and Stan Kino, who is the most nurturing and supportive and always there for all of us on the commission to step up and do work. So, and then this is all of us, our names. We all welcome any approach to any one of us about what we're doing, and we are just so appreciative of everything that the board, all of you, have been doing in support of our work. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate the update. And it's great to see all the enthusiasm and progress that has been made since we kicked this off. And we really do have a a great group of commissioners. I know the supervising group and I enjoyed very much the interview process. We spent all day talking to just a host of great applicants, and are so excited to have the team that we do. The Transgender Day of Education, the panel you held was very impressive. Again, Supervisor Groomer and I were able to attend and learned a great deal. So thank you. Thanks, Honora. Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Steve Kaplan. We have a good thing going here. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you all for being here today. I'm going to go to item number 2, which is a presentation or a proclamation designating June 2015 as National Alzheimer and Brain Awareness Month. And I'm just going to give you a couple of statistics that I think are very telling and very sad. More than 5 million Americans live with Alzheimer's. In the state of California, there's 588,000. And in San Mateo County are 12,000 that we are able to identify. 36,000 caregivers live in San Mateo County caring for those with Alzheimer. And although researchers are making great progress in developing ways to accurately diagnose and treat, an accelerated pace of that research is going to be needed if we're going to achieve real progress in the next 15 years. So in recognition of the Alzheimer's Associations, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors has designated June 2015 as National Alzheimer and Brain Awareness Month, and I would make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so I would like to introduce Catherine Koss and present this to her, who is representing the Alzheimer, with her little one.
Cute little girl.
Good morning, and thank you so much on behalf of the Alzheimer's Association and the general public in San Mateo County. My name is Catherine Koss. I am a resident of San Bruno, but Kayla here is a sixth-generation San Mateo County resident or citizen, and our family stretches across the whole county from Redwood City, Foster City, San Carlos, Millbrae, and San Bruno. And I apologize for the two-year-old. Grandma is our caregiver, and great-grandma has Alzheimer's. And she doesn't remember who I am anymore, and she doesn't recognize the grandkids. We're all from a dual, sorry. So this is how Alzheimer's affects everybody. It really does. Throughout every part of every generation, we're all impacted by even one person's inability to take care of themselves. Alzheimer's is the 5th leading cause of death and the most under-recognized public health care crisis in California. And what the Alzheimer's Association does, I need you to hold this. Can you hold this? The Alzheimer's Association, I'm so sorry. I thought this would be easier, but 2-year-olds are so unpredictable. The Alzheimer's Association has declared June of every year to be Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and they encourage everybody to go purple. In addition, June 21st is the longest day of the year, and they also encourage everyone to do
Nora.
You know, my day job is an attorney, and this is way harder. So much harder. If you can look on the Alzheimer's Association website, and you'll find more information about the longest day and the things that you can do on June 21st, and also the things that you can do around the year to help or get information and provide support on the Alzheimer's. On Alzheimer's itself and the caregivers and the community in general. And thank you so much for your patience. And we're very happy to be receiving this from you.
Thank you for coming today. And we're happy to have our own moment matching Stephen Curry's daughter.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you here today.
We'll bring the baby to the president. The monkey.
Supervisor Slocum, would you like to present commendations to the Open Data team?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Madam President. I think the way we'll do this, if it's okay with Mr. Walton, is that we'll just bring everybody up together for the commendations. But first, let me make a motion to approve the commendations for the Open Data team for winning the 2015 Public Technology Institute Solutions Award for the county's Open Data program.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So you can tell John Walton is the CIO because I've been watching him during the meeting, and he's back there texting and Facebooking and whatever it is that he does on that thing, sending messages. But in all seriousness, this award is a very significant and prestigious award for the county and for Mr. Walton to receive. He was selected as the 2015 Bay Area Community Champion CIO by the Silicon Valley Business Times, Silicon Valley Business Journal, and PwC. And as I said, it's quite an honor to be recognized in this way. Obviously, we're going to have a report on the Wi-Fi program in San Mateo County, but his innovative work to increase internet access from the coast over to the Bay and from the north to the south is truly remarkable, and I think something we all should be proud of, giving access to folks who may not otherwise have Wi-Fi access. He's forged a lot of partnerships with cities, tackling projects of mutual interest, and just want you to know that this honor is reserved for a government CIO by the most highly regarded business and public sector organizations in the Bay Area for work driving change in the area of technology. So John, congratulations to you. for the award. And let me just make a couple comments about the other part of this, which is a presentation of a commendation to the Open Data team for winning the 2015 Public Technology Institute Solutions Award. That organization has been around for some 30 years. It's recognized, it's a prestigious award, and it recognizes the very best in technology applications and solutions employed by local government. All of those projects that John and his team, and John, I guess, undertook aimed at improving service delivery, tried to reduce costs, and also, maybe importantly too, is generating revenue, if I'm not mistaken. So it was really a team effort, and I know we've called on John Ridner many, many times, and he's really, I can't tell you, always delivered the product. And John, that is very much appreciated by myself and this board. The work that you did with Street Code Academy in East Palo Alto, Comcast couldn't get it done. You stepped in and your team stepped in and just at the last second pulled that all together so the Street Code Academy could offer opportunities for young people in East Palo Alto. So thank you so much for everything that you and the team have done. And John Walton, thank you for your leadership in all this and making it all possible. So let me call up Mr. Walton, John Ridner, Bev Thames, Jean Francois, I'm going to get the name here, Barthay. Did I get that right? Okay. And would you join me and I will pass out the commendations.
Well, thank you, Supervisor Slocum. Thank you for this recognition of the Open Data team in the Information Services Department. The county's Open Government, Open Data program has benefited from your support well before I started working with the county last year. During that time, I've been given the latitude and means to help define and shape what open data means for the county of San Mateo. Our efforts to provide the county's open data to the public have grown into an award-winning program. I'm looking forward to continuing to collaborate and innovate around open data, building on this award in events like HackMC, the county's first hackathon, which took place just over a week ago. Thank you for your continued support for open government and open data. I appreciate it.
Through the chair, could I make one comment about, just also want to thank John Walton and his team as well. And Supervisor Slocum made mention about public Wi-Fi, and I know you've done some sites in North Fair Oaks and East Palo Alto, but you did a site in Puente. And one of our problems with Puente was, well, first of all, it's because it's by a school, and it does provide kids with access to Wi-Fi. But we're trying to set up a clinic. In order to have a clinic, we have to have a pretty robust Wi-Fi to be able to download health records from county hospital and county clinics all the way out to that remote site, and you did it. And you've also worked on Pillar Ridge manufactured homes, and again, it's an area of people who would not normally have access to that. And I know you're working on other things like Fitzgerald Marine Reserve, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. So I really want to thank you and your team. You've been really innovative, and I appreciate the service that you've given to these communities, at least on the coast side, and I know also in North Fair Oaks. So kudos to you and your staff. You've done a great job. Thanks.
Yes, thank you Supervisor Slocum for being our technical guru here.
Technical guru, okay.
And Mr. Walton, and to your team, thank you very much. So we're going to go to item number 4 now, which is near and dear to my heart. We're going to do the annual report of the Youth Commission. And I'd like to introduce to you the chair, Needy Vanderpolly, our vice chair, Barthy Chinnakota, and I don't see Noah here, but Kelly Lang is here, and Mei Mei Chung Moy is here? No, Mei Mei is not here. Okay, so welcome, ladies. And they are going to give a report on the Youth Commission's activities for the last year. And I know I say this every year, so I'm a broken record. They work so darn hard, and between their academic achievements at school and all of their activities and their leadership in their various high schools, and then they still have time to work for the county. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Needy Vanderpolly. I'm a rising senior at Burlingame High School.
My name is Barthy Chinnakota, and I'm a rising senior at Notre Dame High School.
I'm Kelly Liang, and I'm also a rising senior at Mills High School.
Okay, so what is the San Mateo Youth Commission? So the Youth Commission, we work to address issues affecting youth in the San Mateo County. We strive to bridge the gap between adult and youth perspective. Continually, we have a very neat program on the commission where we put youth on different boards and commissions. In doing this, we are educating our youth and advocating for youth issues. The Youth Commission advises the Board of Supervisors on issues pertaining to adolescents in our county. Continually, we present policy recommendations. And lastly, we create projects that serve the community. All right, so who are we? We are a group of 25 youth, and we are between the ages of 14 to 18, and we come from 15 different high schools. We represent districts 1, 2, 3, and 4, and what's so special about us is that we each come from very different backgrounds. All right, so what was new for the Youth Commission from 2014 to 2015, we partnered with the City of San Mateo Parks and Rec Department for our youth conference, and we also had new school representation on our commission.
So we have 3 subcommittees. The first subcommittee is Exec Board, and it consists of the chair and vice chair and the chairs of the respective committees. So we are the spokespeople for the Greater San Mateo County, and we oversee the Youth Commission as a whole, and the chairs of the respective committees oversee their respective committees. And then we have the Youth Planning Conference, which consists of the youth commissioners as well as any public members, and they oversee anything pertaining to the youth conference that happens in the spring. And then lastly, we have the Procedural Rules Subcommittee, and this subcommittee develops new procedural rules and proposes alternatives to the Youth Commission format. And we have 5 committees. We have Adolescent Needs, Environmental Protection, Immigrant Youth, Legislative, and Teen Stress and Happiness. So I'm the chair of the Adolescent Needs Committee, and every 5 years we produce and disseminate a adolescent needs report, and we act upon policy recommendations based on the findings of the Adolescent Needs Report. And we strive to improve the lives of youth living in the San Mateo County. So this year was really special for us because we were part of many presentations and panels so that others could learn about the key findings that we found in the Adolescent Needs Report that came out in 2014. We were part of presentations such as the Youth Wellness Alliance presentation, ATOD Wellness Alliance panel, mental health findings to the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Recovery Commission and panel, and health findings presentation to the School Board of Trustees. And in addition, we created a program called the Youth Advisory Board, which is a program that is a way to foster and promote youth-led initiatives to the Board of Supervisors and other commissions. The program consists of an unofficial advisory board at a high school and will advise the youth commission and on school-related issues. As of right now, for this board, our short-term goal is to start a pilot program at one of the public high schools, and our long-term goal is to implement the program at almost every high school in San Mateo County. And then we have the Environmental Protection Committee. The chair for the Environmental Protection Committee isn't here today, but that particular committee examines and addresses environmental problems in San Mateo County. They usually put on an eco-friendly fair, but that didn't happen this year. But in future years, there will be an eco-friendly fair. And then they are designing a website with the aim of getting youth outdoors, and they produce eco-friendly Friday challenges.
Okay, so I'm the chair of the Immigrant Youth Committee, and the mission of our committee is to raise awareness of the immigrant youth community in the San Mateo County, as well as the issues surrounding them. So this year we've worked on the juvenile hall report, which is based on the survey that conducted last year that investigates discrimination and disproportionality in the county juvenile hall. And we also help outreach for a mental health resource fair held at Mills High School, since Mills High School has a student body that consists of 60% or more Asian population, and we want to get that population as much, like, just to get them more accessible to mental health resources. And each year we have an Immigrant Youth Award, which is given to 2 outstanding immigrant youths in the county to recognize their achievements. Okay, and the chair of the legislative committee is not here today, but I'll just present for them anyways. Okay, so this year they're working on policy recommendations that by writing letters to the Board of Supervisors. I don't remember. Sorry. Okay, and the letters are basically advocates for implementing outdoor education in county public schools and banning smoking near apartments or buildings within a certain radius.
Okay, last but not least is the Teen Stress and Happiness Committee. The new chair of Teen Stress and Happiness is not here today, so I'll be presenting this slide. So this year, Tish had a very productive year. We held a presentation called Intro to High School, which targeted middle schoolers and incoming high schoolers, and it notified them about what high school was really like. We also presented at Behavioral Health and Recovery Services in May, and we did a presentation called Voices of Recovery, where we interviewed a few youth about mental health and how they have dealt with it in their lives. All right, so the Youth Commission had our 4th annual San Mateo Youth Conference on February 7th, and we held it at the College of San Mateo. At our conference, we had 11 workshops ranging from biochemistry labs to LGBTQ rights. There were 135 people that attended. At our event, we also had a legislative panel, and over the lunch hour, we had a community resource table.
So like Nidhi said before, the youth commissioners have a wonderful opportunity to sit on a board or commission and act as a liaison. And this year we had 24 out of 25 of the youth commissioners sit on a county board commission or initiative. And up there are the different boards and commissions that our youth sat on. And so we get to sit on this commission and we get to learn more about the various projects and initiatives and how we can directly get involved in what happens in the county. And it's an amazing opportunity because we get to choose which board we get to sit on. So we get to be directly involved in a topic of our interest.
All right, the executive board for the 2015 to 2016 year is I am the new chair of the commission. Bharti Chinakotla is the vice chair of the commission as well as the chair of adolescent needs. Kaylin Cumming, she is the chair of the Environmental Protection Committee. Kelly is chair of the Immigrant Youth. Mei Chun Moy is chair of the Legislative Committee. And last but not least is Noah Weinstein, and he's the chair of the Teen Stress and Happiness Committee. So changes for this upcoming Youth Commission year. We have a new program coordinator, Anna. We have new representation from different schools and different districts. And lastly, we have new youth on the exec board. All right, thank you guys so much for your continual support of the Youth Commission. It means a lot to us.
Thank you for being here today. I want to introduce our new Youth Commissioner Coordinator, Anna Avendano. She's in the back there. Welcome. And we look forward to September when we kick off another year of great work for the Youth Commission.
Thank you.
So now we will go to item number 5 with our Chief Elections Officer, Mark Church, discussing the all-mail ballot.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to give you a report on AB 2028, which is the all-mail ballot pilot program for San Mateo County. Joining me is Jimmy Rosari, Assistant Assessor, County Clerk, Recorder, and Megan Hassel-Shearer, a Supervisor from the Registration and Elections Division. Let me start by thanking the board for its support of AB 2028 and its strong leadership in supporting all-mail ballot elections. We're very excited about this program. San Mateo County was selected in part because of the leadership of the board and our experience in conducting countywide all-mail elections. I took this board's message and testified in support of this bill with Assemblyman Mullen on 2 occasions, once before the Assembly Committee on Elections and Redistricting, and again before the Senate Standing Committee on Elections and Constitutional Amendments. And as you know, there has always been a lot of resistance to voting by mail in the legislature. When I arrived in the morning to testify before the Assembly Committee, Assemblyman Mullen said he almost called to tell me that he was going to pull the bill due to a lack of votes. But he figured I was already on my way, so he didn't call. And as it turned out, that's one call we're happy that he didn't make. It appears that the wind has shifted in the legislature, and vote by mail is an idea whose time has finally come. Getting to this point was a result of a lot of hard work by a lot of people. And we're here today because of everyone's collective efforts, starting with the efforts of this board, our legislative delegation, and of course, my hardworking and dedicated staff. My staff and I have appeared before numerous city councils, school boards, and special district boards. I have personally sent over 400 letters and countless emails to policymakers. We have created an AB 2028 outreach committee, and staff has worked hard to develop an outreach plan. And there is a tremendous amount of work ahead in educating and conducting outreach to both policymakers and voters. So with that as background, let me tell you a little bit about AB 2028. AB 2028 is simply an expansion of the Yolo County all-mail ballot pilot project to include San Mateo County. And it became effective on January 1 of this year. And the purpose of including San Mateo County in the pilot is to allow for the collection of data from an urban county to complement the data from a rural county. The idea behind this is that it would provide the legislature with a more complete picture of the effects of all mail ballot elections. AB 2028 authorizes San Mateo County to conduct up to 3 elections entirely by mail until January 1, 2018. It only applies to consolidated municipal, school, and special district elections and local elections. It does not apply to presidential elections. So we are targeting all mail elections for our November 2015 and November 2017 local consolidated elections. And there'll be one other local special election which has not yet been determined. So how does AB 2028 work? Every voter will get a ballot in the mail, even if the voter has not signed up to vote by mail. In this program, all return envelopes for the ballots will be postage prepaid, unlike our current vote by mail program. And although we call this an all-mail ballot election, there will be a limited number of polling places throughout the county. The law calls for at least one polling place in each city in the county. So voters can still vote in person at the polls if they want. And like Yolo County, San Mateo County will be required to report back to the state legislature and the Secretary of State on such factors as voter turnout, election costs, and demographic information. And we'll provide a comparison with prior elections conducted in the traditional format. The potential benefits are significant. We have found that elections conducted strictly by mail can lead to an increase in voter participation and cost savings. Voter turnout can be as much as 10% higher in an all-mail ballot election compared to a traditional election. The cost is also substantially less, about 1/3 to 1/2 the cost of a traditional election. For our county, in a traditional countywide election, we hire and train some 1,700 poll workers. We deploy and test over some 1,400 voting machines and secure 209 polling places. All these costs will be eliminated under this program. A traditional countywide election costs about $1.5 million. Based on the countywide all-mail election conducted in May of 2011, the cost of a countywide all-mail ballot election is about $600,000. So that particular election resulted in a savings of about 40% or $900,000. All-mail ballot elections also reduce the risk of human error that comes with employing a large number of poll workers. And another advantage of all-mail ballot elections is faster results on election night. There are no precinct ballots, so a much greater portion of the ballots will be tallied soon after the closing of the polls at 8 p.m. So this chart shows a breakdown of registered voters by age group in the county. The dark green represents the number of voters who have signed up to vote by mail permanently. The light green represents one-time vote-by-mail voters and polling place voters. And as you can see, the majority of voters in each age group have signed up to vote permanently by mail. And this chart shows a breakdown of permanent vote-by-mail voters by party preference in the county. As you can see, there is not much difference between the two major parties. This chart shows a breakdown of permanent vote-by-mail voters by city. Over the years, voting by mail has grown in popularity simply because it is convenient. About 57% of voters countywide already prefer to vote by mail, and they've signed up to vote by mail permanently. This chart shows a breakdown by city of how voters cast ballots in the November 2013 local consolidated election. The breakdown shows the percentage of voters who cast their votes by mail, including both permanent and one-time vote-by-mail voters, and those who cast their votes at the polls. And as you can see, countywide, 77% of the registered voters cast their ballots by mail, and only 23% cast their ballots at the polls in the November 2013 local consolidated election. The law calls for one ballot drop box in each city, which is typically located at City Hall. The ballot box will be open during regular business hours, 28 days prior to Election Day, and open till 8 p.m. on Election Day. We will have our two voting centers, as we do in every election, one at 40 Tower Road in San Mateo and one at 555 County Center in Redwood City. They will be open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and on Saturday prior to Election Day from 10 to 3. In 2011, SB 109, a bill similar to AB 2028, failed to get out of the Senate Committee on Elections and Constitutional Amendments. One of the criticisms of the bill in the committee analysis was that it failed to provide for polling places on Election Day. So the voters voters who did not receive their ballots or misplaced their ballots had no place to go. AB 2028 addresses that issue with polling places throughout the county. Each polling place will be a universal polling place. These polling places are unlike polling places in previous elections because voters can vote at any polling place in the county on Election Day and receive their specific ballot type. So, for example, if you live in Menlo Park and you work in South San Francisco, you can vote at a polling place in South San Francisco on Election Day. Another change is that the previous law required ballots to be received by 8 p.m. on Election Day. SB 29 now provides that if a vote by mail ballot is postmarked on or before Election Day and it is received no later than 3 days after Election Day, it will be counted. Our office will conduct a thorough outreach and media campaign to ensure that voters who don't usually vote by mail understand that they will be getting their ballot in the mail this October. We will be contacting voters several times before and throughout the voting period to ensure that voters are aware that the election will be conducted as an all-mail ballot election. We will be working with different media platforms to get the message out, and that includes television, radio, and newspaper, with an emphasis on minority communities, including Spanish and Chinese. We will use social media, billboards, and community events with our bilingual staff to educate our voters. And as mentioned, an independent consultant will also study and report on the effects of all mail ballot elections in our diverse county. In order for the pilot project to proceed, all jurisdictions participating in the November election must authorize by resolution the all-mail ballot election. The last day to adopt the resolution is August 7. And as I mentioned, we've been extremely busy making presentations before the agencies that you see listed here. Last night, the San Mateo City Council adopted the resolution, so they are not yet added to this list. And tonight, I will be appearing before the East Palo Alto City Council. As you can see from this chart, 26 jurisdictions, including the city of San Mateo, have authorized participation. 2 of those jurisdictions do not have elections scheduled this November. The remaining 24 jurisdictions do have elections scheduled this November. And there are a total of 37 jurisdictions that typically would have elections scheduled in November 2015. Since 24 have opted in, there are still 13 jurisdictions that need to adopt the resolution for this program to occur. Of those 13, 8 jurisdictions have agendized the matter either for action or information this month. I just want to conclude by saying that the requirement of having all jurisdictions participate is a very high hurdle to get over since we have more jurisdictions in this county than most counties in the state. But we've had great success, and I do believe we will get there. The state legislature will make its decision as to whether to embrace all-mail ballot elections, as some other states have, in part based on what happens here in San Mateo County. And so this is an opportunity for us to help shape the future course of elections in the state of California, and I hope that all jurisdictions will participate and take advantage of that opportunity. Madam President, that concludes my report, and with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Church? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
And thanks
much.
for all the
Appreciate
hard
it.
work getting this accomplished.
Thank you for your support.
Now we'll go to item number 6, which is a presentation by our Chief Information Officer, John Walton.
We'll start with Plan B.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, County Manager, County Council. John Walton, Chief Information Officer. Just want to start by thanking you for all the recognition of the hard work staff have done this morning. I will say, working in San Mateo County is a real pleasure. As the CIO here, I feel, extremely fortunate, I think, in this county, particularly in all the organizations I work for. I'm the beneficiary. Working in San Mateo County is a real pleasure. I'm the I've said that before. I'm the beneficiary of, a lot of executive sponsorship and support from you all and the hardworking staff, which I just want to recognize briefly before I do the presentation. Oz and Marty and Tom and Jose can't be here today, and Seth. I mean, they're really the backbone of what makes a program like this happen. So I'd like to do a little presentation. Mine is going to help me out here because as CIO, as Warren will tell you, I'm a gadget guy. And so, of course, I have a laptop that's non-standard to everyone else in the county because I had to have this certain laptop. So I struggle with it all the time, getting it to work with anything. And though we tested it about 3 times, I figured mine was a better bet to make this thing work. So I did put together a presentation. It's in your package. But as my staff will tell you, I'm not a huge fan of PowerPoints because I figure you can all read and I don't need to read my presentations to you. So it's in there. We can go over that. I do have it on my laptop. But we worked with Peninsula TV and put together a little video about the public Wi-Fi program. And I guess for me, it really symbolizes, the partnership with Penn TV, the community, and the hard work.
San Mateo County is a wonderful place to live with incredible natural surroundings, vibrant communities, and engaged citizens. To further promote that engagement and serve all its residents, the County of San Mateo has launched its SMC Public Wi-Fi program. SMC Public Wi-Fi is a free resource available in a number of community locations, as well as in county facilities.
The modern digital divide in our community is really about those who have high-speed access to the internet and the information on it and those that don't. We're putting all sorts of things online that people need in their modern lives to be prosperous, to be healthy.
Pescadero is on the southwest part of San Mateo County. It's a lovely place to live. Some people here have barriers to connectivity because of geographical location where they live and also economic reasons sometimes. The downtown area didn't have total connectivity for the businesses, and upon getting the county Wi-Fi, it was a great asset for the community in terms of the merchants having their customers get to use their Wi-Fi in their devices, and the school district getting better connectivity for the students who are taking home some work. So it was all around a very positive experience for the entire community.
SMC Public Wi-Fi is available in a number of community locations, and more will be rolled out in 2015 and 16.
A lot of our citizens don't have the computer access that we need to really be productive citizens and to contribute. And so Streetcode Academy has given that infrastructure. So we have people as young as 8 years old, and all the way up to our senior citizens that are coming here to access technology programs that could bridge them into Silicon Valley. Before SMC Public Wi-Fi, We were located in the heart of Silicon Valley. We were so close, we felt so far away. Just by providing internet, we've allowed new people, new ideas, new opportunities to be presented to Silicon Valley and to the world. And this is a community that has a lot to say, has a lot to offer.
You'll see that new ideas, new innovations, and things like that will come out of just providing something as small as the internet.
So we want to try to close those gaps by providing public Wi-Fi through county means to those people so that if they have a device, they can access the internet. Start putting out, one after the other, new public Wi-Fi spots in parks, around community centers, in other areas where we think the public will come together and gather together and want to take advantage of it.
Once you have the internet, everything opens up. The entire world opens up.
Hear that too many times. We have these little stickers we put together because we really want to promote this program. This is something that Measure A funds went to really fund this, and I think this is a good example of how we can use funding like that you approve to better connect our community to our services. We're putting so many more services online. Every department is striving to put more services online, and we want to connect that community to each other and to the services we have available to them online. If you'll bear with me, I'd like to ask your indulgence and to have one of our partners that was one of the keys to our success in this talk for just another minute or two about what they do and what their view of closing the digital divide is, and then we can talk about the program in the future.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lenis Gutierrez, and I'm with Comcast. I handle the local government affairs for part of the county. And really thank you to Mr. Walton and to San Mateo County for the partnership. Most of you have heard of our Comcast Internet Essentials program, which is the largest broadband adoption program for low-income families in the U.S. And so, we have over 1.8 million people connected nationwide, over 450,000 families. As of February, we have about 61,000 families connected in California. And really, all it is, it's a internet product for families to be connected at home. So it's a great partnership because, as you saw in the video, it's one thing to have, a Wi-Fi, when you're out and about in the community. But when you're at home and you want to do your homework or register to vote or access healthcare, to have a $9.95 internet product from Comcast via Internet Essentials, it's a great program that we're proud of and happy to have one-on-one discussions with each of you and your offices. But wanted to take this opportunity to really thank Mr. Walton, for this opportunity. And we're actually going to have a couple of enhancements announced in a couple of months. So would love to come back or just brief you individually on our program. And I want to actually take the time to introduce my counterpart, Kevin Mokata, who handles some of our business for Comcast, and he's going to talk a little bit about Wi-Fi with us as well.
Thank you, Lenis. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, supervisors for the San Mateo County. So my team is a government-focused markets team that serves local, state, and county governments. And to empower the Wi-Fi network, we have a business class internet product that is coupled with Wi-Fi technology that allows us to reach pretty dense populations within your community and help to bridge the divide that you have today that folks are looking to, and John's focus is to bring the community together for better communication. So my team, I have a team of folks that work with me. Proud to say on behalf of Comcast that we're very excited to work with the county and John's team and support your initiatives for the public Wi-Fi, and very much appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you both for being here today.
And I asked Comcast to join us just because, again, these programs don't happen without partnership. You all provided the seed funding for us to fund staff, to fund equipment. But at the end of the day, we need partners like AT&T, like Comcast, like so many others that work with us out there in the community to make these things happen at the end of the day. So, their continued partnership with us in the future, especially Comcast, who I think was key to almost all of 11 of the sites we brought up this year and has been working with us hard. We have a list of almost 230 sites in the future that people have asked us to connect, and we've set a goal of doing as many as we can in every year in the upcoming years. But I think you can see that the demand is huge. I'm sure when you're out there in the communities, you hear that a lot from your residents, and we want to work with you and the private industry partners to try to close that gap as quickly as we can.
Thank you.
Questions? David, Supervisor Pine?
Thanks, John, for your work in this area. I think this is a great use of our Measure A money to invest in this infrastructure, and will pay dividends for a long time to come. So you said 11 projects have been completed, and you have a big long list of others you could do. Over the next 12 months, how many do you anticipate rolling out?
We've set up a goal for the next 2 years of doing one per month in the coming years. We'd like to set a goal, and we've come up with a preliminary list. What we found in the initial rollout of the things is a lot of it comes to working with the private sector vendors about the back-end engineering. It's one thing to put up the receivers on a pole, but then you have to connect them to something to get out to the internet. So we found that working with the ISP and telco vendors, we've spent a lot more time in advance this time doing the preliminary engineering for the list of 230 and coming up with the ones we think are feasible to do on a month-by-month basis. I will say my goal personally is I think we need to pick up the pace more than that over time. So my hope is over the next 2 years, we can also work with Comcast and others like we've done in other cities like San Francisco and find large corporations that maybe will take a larger sponsorship role and work with us and maybe even more rapidly roll these things out. I think, as long as we rely primarily on county staff to do these types of work, we are going to be self-limiting to some extent with funding or staff resources that we're trying to balance. I think one a month is very feasible and very doable for county staff. But as you've seen up in San Francisco and other places, if we can partner with some of these larger corporations, maybe a Google or a Facebook or something like that, they have more resources as they've brought to bear in other communities. And so we're hopeful that this initial success will kind of inspire companies now to come work with us and really try to build this program up even faster. That's why we set up that video that was played. Actually, there's and on the little sticker we are handing out to you, there's a little branding we're doing where we'd like to get more sponsors, and we'd like people in the public and the corporations to see what opportunities there are to work with us and really build sort of that groundswell of support for the program. Because we know Measure A money's limited. We know there's a limited time horizon to it, so we want to create this program to have some longevity and some more support behind it over time.
Supervisor Tissier?
I just want to give a shout out to Comcast. They actually also partnered with us for Disaster Preparedness Day, and we actually put those flyers in the bags because we get lots of families especially during the first hour because it's free, so a lot of families come through the fair. So I want to thank you. I hope you get some good results out of that.
Just another shout out about what you've done at Pescadero. When we first started working, Nicholas Calderon from my staff worked with your staff and tried to put some of the equipment on poles for PG&E, and they were told it would cost $10,000 a pole, and somehow and then we have buildings that are designated as historical, so somehow you guys, your staff was able to come up with a solution that didn't require us to pay $10,000 a pole, and you have been able to get really a much more robust Wi-Fi in that town. And I know you're also working collaboratively with us and with Comcast also to bring Wi-Fi to some of the farm labor housing areas, because again, it's great to have it in a town, but the kids live out of town. So, it is pretty remote, and nobody ever thought of this before, but you and your staff have. So I appreciate all the work that you've done for really, they really are low-income people, but the kids are very resilient, and they need to have this access to be able to be successful. So I appreciate all you've done.
Supervisor Slocum?
Let me thank Lennis and Comcast for all the work that they've done. It's sincerely appreciated, as been mentioned. And John and the team, thank you so much. I just had a question of idle curiosity. Let's say at Coyote Point, there's county Wi-Fi.
There is.
Now?
Yeah.
Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my question is, does that Wi-Fi go from one end of the park to the northern end parking lot there? And
Not yet.
Okay, so what exactly does
Right
it
now, we initially focused on the marina and the front gate area for Wi-Fi connectivity. there are some engineering challenges with large geographic spaces like a coyote point.
Yeah.
And what we're finding is what we don't want to do is spend, frankly, all of our time and money on just one site. So what we've done is we've tried to simplify some of the sites like Coyote Point to get a foothold in there and to get an initial user base of people using it, like the marina area and the front gate where they want to process people. But then the team has been working on how do we expand that over time. So what I've told the team is, I'd like to see an initial success at a site, but that doesn't mean then we walk away from it and say, okay, we're done there, we're never going to go back. And so the team has plans on a lot of these sites to go back in Pescadero, to Coyote Point, and say, okay, we did this initially, how's it being used, and study the usage patterns and saying, okay, where else should we expand it to within these? And maybe some of them will grow over time, like Coyote, to be even a larger area, the playground area and the parking lot area and things like that. So that's our hope. But we don't want to over-engineer it and spend 2 or 3 years trying to bring one site up. We'd rather just get a quick win and get something going at a site and then grow it organically over time.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you to Comcast. Thank you to you and your team, John. Thank you very much. Do you even need a break?
Yeah.
We're going to take like a 5-minute break. To bring the meeting back to order. And go to item number 7, which is a resolution authorizing the implementation of Laura's Law. Mr. Kaplan, welcome.
Help you, Mr. Byers. As you recall, we were here on May 19th with a recommendation regarding Laura's Law. Through the conversation we had that day, you directed staff to pursue answers to some questions that your board raised during that meeting. Principally to talk further with Orange County, who is the largest county to implement Laura's Law in terms of its longevity. I think they're now actually into their 6th month or so of operations. So we've done that. We've addressed that in this memo that I'll briefly go through for you. So the first question that you had asked us related to the numbers of people that had accepted services voluntarily as part of Orange County's program. And you wanted to get some more information about what that was, what was the relationship between the court, the potential court order for treatment. So we talked to Orange County. By the way, they've been very cooperative in sharing their information, so I really appreciate their help. A couple things with the outreach. The main factor from their point of view, and again with their experience so far, is really it's principally around the team of staff that are engaging potential people in this program. That they're out in the community, they're meeting people, and they're staying in touch with people in a way that allows them to build a relationship to talk to them about their situation and what services might be available. So the outreach and engagement team is really the key strategy. We asked them specifically about how they communicate to potential clients related to the court aspects of involuntary treatment. And they don't have any specific data, but they did recognize that they believe for a substantial number of people who have accepted services voluntarily, when they're talking to them about the program, they are mentioning that there is a potential court order in this program that we think you may meet the eligibility based upon the law, and there could be a court intervention. From their perspective, they do feel that some people are accepting services voluntarily actually to avoid the entire court experience. You've heard us talk about the black robe effect. We've principally been talking about that once somebody's in court with the judge in front of them, but this is actually to avoid court altogether. So they do think it's significant for some. They don't have data to tell us out of the 73 now that have been voluntarily enrolled in the program, how many that's been an impact, but it is significant from their point of view.
The second question was related to any relationship between this program and people incarcerated in county jail. And there is. It's not huge at this point, but all of their engagement team has received jail clearance, which is a key thing if you're going to work with any people upon release. So they do have jail clearance. They're able to identify some people. Again, they have to educate the internal mental health staff to the criteria. One of the key things relates to their discharge date. If it's too far in the future, then that's not really going to be effective until we get closer to the date. They've had some problems in Orange County. People have gotten released at weird hours. We know that historically is a problem with some jails, and so they emphasize once the person's identified, once they're engaged, you have to have a warm handoff. You basically have to have somebody to pick somebody up upon release from jails. The numbers at this point, though, are not significant. You also asked how the involuntary clients were doing. The data is really small. At this point, they've had 5 people that have gone through the court. I believe 3 have entered into a settlement agreement, which Gene could probably talk more, or John, that I think it takes somebody out of the court system once the agreement, so they agree essentially to participate in the program. One of the involuntary clients has done really well. He is employed and seems to be really accepting service well. And the second one was in the hospital the last time we reported and wasn't doing all that well. The next question was, has the lack of enforcement with the court order been a factor? Really, it's not an issue at this point from their perspective. They haven't really had somebody back into court with the judge saying you need to do this, and kind of the black robe effect. And then we had talked about the high volume of calls that once the program was launched that Orange County was receiving. Between the time we were here last and a few weeks later when I was able to talk with them, their calls actually had gone up quite a bit. They had received over 900 calls. But almost 2/3 of those calls were really for information, general information about the behavioral health system. Some of it, people were already receiving services, and it was family members, et cetera. So really about 300 or so were calls that had the potential for somebody to meet the eligibility for Laura's Law. And we broke down of those 317 what some of the issues have been in terms of actual engagement. Some were already receiving services and may have been disconnected a little bit, so the team works to connect them back to services. Some were incarcerated at the point of time when the referral was made, and you can see the rest. 73 have actually are engaged now and receiving services out that. The other issue that was asked about the number of calls between the ones that have actually been enrolled in the program and the delta of the rest of the calls. The team does work if the person is not hooked up to services. They're making all kinds of referrals, some to other behavioral health programs, others to social service programs because the needs vary. So the team isn't just identifying somebody that might meet criteria and then working solely with them, although that's their principal interest. They are working to connect other people to care. One of the interesting parts of this is there is a pretty significant number in this that have been difficult to locate. And you all are aware of, from the health system's point of view, in the past we've been very concerned about the involuntary nature of this treatment and its relationship to civil rights and a consumer's perspective. And what we don't know about that number is whether or not any of those participants are hard to reach because they're avoiding stepping up because the involuntary nature or the potential involuntary nature of the program. And one of our concerns about involuntary treatment is that some people may not present themselves for treatment, and they may otherwise do so if there wasn't this hanging over them. We just don't know. I suspect Orange County doesn't know. They will be evaluating their program, and that's one of the things they'll be looking at as well. So on balance, when we think about particularly the Orange County experience with the large numbers of people who are stepping forward to inquire about services and the significant number of people that have met criteria for Laura's Law, on balance, we think it's a good thing to do at this point. We're recommending it be a year trial, that we would report back to the board in a year on what our experience has been. We would try to answer the question, have we missed people because they're kind of hiding away because of the involuntary nature? Are we getting more people in? What's been the impact of the FSPs? So we just don't know, and I don't think really anybody knows. Orange County will know some things ahead of us, but we think it's prudent to make this a go for a year. You also asked what would we do if we didn't do this and we could just do other things with the resources that are going to be needed to do this. At the end of the day, it would be the same resources. It just wouldn't have a court component. The outreach and engagement is extremely valuable, and I think that's being reinforced by Orange County. We have had that experience more recently with our FAST team and the high demand for their services. So anything we can do to increase the resources we have for basically street outreach and engagement is a good thing. And certainly we know we will need more FSP slots to be able to provide the necessary 24/7 support for people. So I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Steve, I'm kind of curious. We had a presentation at the hospital board recently on the conservatorship here in the county. We had, I think it was something over 300 people being conserved. How does that balance? I mean, what's really the difference and what's the balance between what you're going to try to do here and what's happening with their conservatorship?
Remember, in our proposal, we're actually proposing to add one more conservator to this program, because we do think what's going to happen is people that meet criteria for conservatorship we're going to run into through this outreach and engagement, so we want to have them as part of the team. The conservatorship bar, so to speak, is around grave disability, basically not able at all to meet any of their daily requirements. So the way we will organize this within behavioral health, we'll actually attach this unit to our temporary conservatorship unit, because we think there's going to be a potential for back and forth actually between those two. And then having the conservator will also allow us to really figure out what the best option is for somebody. Obviously, when you conserve somebody, it's a pretty serious situation, and we want to make sure that it's done appropriately.
Madam President, just to make one addition to what Steve said, or clarification. When he indicated a year trial period, it's probably going to take the department until beginning of 2016 to get geared up for, there's a lot of moving parts, the staffing, the full service partnerships. So it would be 2017 that we would actually be coming back with a report to you.
Correct. And in the resolution, it actually directs the health system chief to come back to the board to basically certify we're ready to implement the actual program, doing the things that Mr. Malpe just said.
So the trial period would be calendar to, basically 2016. Is that enough time, do you think? A year?
I rely on the department. I think it is. I think that we'll have a good feel for the number of individuals that could be served in the various levels of service, and also following up and seeing how that has had some long-term impact. And we may come back and say we should modify the program in some way, extend it. But I think a year's a reasonable point to start off with.
Yeah.
Also, I just might add that given the timing, if the board approves this today, we'll actually come back in September with a September revision to provide the appropriations for the program. The department will be working on things in the meantime because they don't necessarily require money, but just you won't see this in the budget. You won't see it till September revision.
Just following up on the question about conservatorships, I know we talked about this at the last board discussion. Could you remind me how many people we think might be in the community that are potentially eligible for these conservatorships?
Well, we did an estimate eligibility for Laura's Law based upon the Laura's Law criteria, and we estimated 20 to 25, and that was based on data from the state of New York as they've implemented Kendra's Law, and they've used basically 1 in
Right.
25,000 adults.
But the conservatorship standard is higher, so it's a subset of that 20 to 25. That might potentially be put into a conservatorship, if I'm understanding correctly.
No, no, I don't think it's part of a subset of that. No, no, because right now we have over like Supervisor Tissy, we have over 300 people right now on conservatorship in the county.
Right, so Supervisor Pine, there's a population of over 300
Right,
folks who are technically meet the legal standard
Right.
of gravely disabled, and they're conserved. This is a population that doesn't quite meet that higher standard. They may be gravely disabled someday, but so it's a different
Right.
population.
That's the question I was trying to get at is, are there others out there in the community who are in that highest category that, for whatever reason, resources or otherwise, we haven't been able to conserve?
I think I would have to say
Very few.
yes. Yeah, I really can't put a number on it. I don't know. I think we do a pretty good job in covering that population in this county. One of the things that we mentioned that San Mateo, the court system, does here that we think is
Right,
very appropriate is we have people living in the community on conservatorship, whereas other counties only conserve people when they're in locked institutions. So I think our pool of conservatees is much broader than on a per capita than other counties.
Yeah, no, it was good to hear that we have a
But
that
I would
kind of
have to say
approach.
we have others that are probably out there.
Because when you're conserved, you can force the medication, and you could force you could force hospitalization or inpatient
Forced
care.
treatment.
Right, but of course you can't do either of those things with Laura's Law.
Correct.
Okay.
Through the president, one of the things I was impressed on in my conversations with Gene and Steve was the fact that there's really a broad group of people out there with various mental health issues that kind of come forward and start asking questions. And as part of that population, I suspect there will probably be somebody or a number of people that may potentially fall into the need to be conserved category that we otherwise don't know about or haven't come in contact with our system to date.
Just as a little kind of learning with our FAST team, they are contacting people that are not yet have not been connected to our system. So there is some finding of people that for whatever reason have not shown up yet. We also think law enforcement will probably identify some people that we haven't identified yet.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I've got public speakers. Mr. Fox?
Good morning, President Groom, members of the board, my fellow veterans, Supervisor Slocum and Mr. Maltby, and County Council Mr. Byers. Thank you for your service to the county. Please vote to fully implement Laura's Law without conditions or further delay for a 3-year period. The lives of persons living with mental illness, like Yanira Serrano and Errol Chang did, may depend upon it. There are many others that mental illness keeps hidden from view because their families want to keep them hidden from view. Since Laura's Law was discussed on May 19th, the highly respected legal publisher, Continuing Education for the Bar, also known as CAB, has issued an update to its California conservatorship reference to add a section devoted to educating legal professionals about Laura's Law. You should each have a copy of it. It looks like this. The United States Department of Justice certified Laura's Law as an effective and efficient recidivism reduction program. A California district attorney has exclusive jurisdiction over local criminal justice diversion programs. Supervisor Horsley, you may recall our now retired district attorney objected to a diversion program and had it terminated in favor of the Pathways program. Therefore, since Laura's Law is a federally recognized local diversion program, please amend your resolution to seek the district attorney's agreement that staff, infrastructure, and processes are in place to implement Laura's Law to make the effort worth it. The lives of people living with mental illness, like Yanira Serrano and Errol Chang did, may depend upon your expeditious and 3-year vote to implement a Lora's Law pilot project today. Keep them and their families in mind and bring hope to this hidden population. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Laura Miller.
Good morning, President Groom and members of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you for your service to the county. Lora's Law is a compassionate, cost-effective civil proceeding that provides treatment to those persons living with serious mental illness who are incapable of giving informed consent to treatment due to the nature of their illness. Lora's Law reforms the civil rights of persons living with serious mental illness by freeing them from the dangerous revolving door of mental hospitals and jails, as well as from having to dance with death on the street. Lora's Law prevents the adverse effects of mental illness from endangering the lives of the people afflicted with it, the lives of their family members that provide them the food, shelter, and clothing that keeps them from being found gravely disabled, the lives of their treatment providers, and the lives of the law enforcement officers who, even with CIT training, may be exposed to serious injury and death. Please vote to implement Lora's Law and measure its performance in terms of the increased number of persons who voluntarily accept treatment after being notified they may be subject to a civil court's order to appear should they refuse to do so voluntarily. Also, please measure Lora's Law by the change in the number of mental health-related calls for law enforcement services throughout the county, including all of its cities, as well as the change in the number of jail bookings, criminal competency proceedings, state hospital referrals, and probation and parole violations. Mentally ill people are not ill, are mentally ill. They are not stupid. Mental illness is transient, even when it is complicated by a lack of insight into a need for treatment. Please vote to fully implement Lora's Law without qualification or further delay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Carol Gosho.
Good morning. I'm representing NAMI San Mateo County as a board member today, and I'd like to thank all of you and the health system and behavioral health for going as far as you've gone thus far. We are in favor of any tools that will help the family members and their loved ones to get help to be able to function and contribute back to this community, to get back on their feet, get good treatment, and participate in the community. Lora's Law is not a panacea, but it is certainly a helpful tool, and we would like to see, if you don't pass Lora's Law, to at least extend the pilot program for at least 3 years beyond the organizational time that it takes to get it up and running, because it seems that the energy and money that it takes just to organize the program and then only giving it 1 year to see how it works, it could take more than 1 year just to disseminate the availability of help throughout the community. So we would like to see at least a 3-year pilot program. And just to keep in mind that forced treatment, when you consider a person's civil right, do they have the right, as a person with a mental illness, do they have the right to receive treatment, or do they have a civil right to remain ill? That is the nut of this whole issue, is what is the civil right of the person with a mental illness who cannot think clearly and don't know that they need help? Thank you.
Thank you for coming today. Are there any other public speakers? If not, we will close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye. Through the chair, I'd like to make a couple of comments on. I did do a little research. I looked at because I have a newspaper man on my staff, we looked at the Orange County Register, and sure enough, just the information about Laura's Law being implemented did result in a significant number of calls to the county for mental health services, and they indicate, as Steve has indicated, a significant number of people entered into mental health services who might not otherwise have received those services. So then I talked to one of the CEO of one of our CBOs who deals with mentally ill people, and he strongly recommended implementing Laura's Law. And I talked to a couple of our county physicians who basically said, who were also very strongly in favor of implementing Laura's Law. They basically said that somebody who's mentally ill can't rationally make a decision to enter into treatment. They said that untreated disease progresses, and that to some extent, well, they also talked about apparently each spell, and there's kind of an episode that triggers a more acute episode, and that it becomes worse and worse over time. And if you could get them into treatment at an earlier stage, you can prevent, to some extent, the progress of the disease and some of the really catastrophic things that happen to them in the future. So I'm prepared to make a motion after hearing my colleagues to support Laura's Law.
Do you want to?
Well, I'll make the motion to adopt a resolution authorizing implementation of AB 1421, Laura's Law, Assisted Outpatient Treatment Program.
I'll second that.
For 1 year? 1 year pilot program?
For 1 year.
Okay.
And I just wanted to comment on that part on the 1 year. I think when we say pilot program, it's really to see how it's working the first year. And usually by the end of the first year of a pilot, you tweak it to see, as I think Steve said, what's working, what isn't working, what are the areas we're really seeing. So, I would venture to say that we wouldn't put this amount of energy and this amount of money into something that we didn't think will most likely be long-term, but you don't want to say you're going to do the pilot of just this nature for 3 years. So I think it's prudent to do it for a year and then just see what works, what doesn't work, and adjust it accordingly. And I think you're right. I think we're going to see a lot more numbers, just like Orange County, and I think it's really going to fill that gap between the conservatorship and those that just haven't done anything. And I think you'll get a lot of calls from families. We get them at our office frequently. Where do I go? What do I do? How can I get help? So I think this is a great step forward, and I think I'm comfortable doing it for the 1 year and making sure at the end of that 1 year we adjust accordingly and make it continue to work.
Supervisor Pine?
I'm prepared to support it as well. I guess I won't be surprised if a year from now there's maybe under 10 people that are actually go all the way through the court process and are ordered by a judge to get service. But it does seem highly likely that the number of, as we've seen in Orange County already, that the amount of engagement through the outreach process will be expanded, and the full service partnerships will be expanded. So a lot of people will get help that aren't getting help today. It's been pointed out on a couple occasions that there's a concern about how many people will be deterred. So when we hear back a year from now, that'll be a hard thing to measure, but it'd be good to try to get a feel for that. I assume NAMI, or would hope that NAMI would be very closely involved in the evaluation of the program, and I think it will yield some positive benefits. But I do think it's the right thing to do to take a good look at it a year from now. It's likely we would make some tweaks to it, but if we hear some news that we're not expecting, then we could go in a different direction. So I do think the year is appropriate.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one opposed? Okay, excellent.
And thank you for doing all that research.
Okay, let's go to item number 8. Mr. Lowell? Affordable Housing Fund commitments to $2.5 million.
Good morning, President Groom, members of the board, Mr. Malpe and Mr. Byers. It is a pleasure to be back before you today to bring recommendations for your consideration for the third round of the Affordable Housing Fund. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to give an update on the first 2 rounds. So, go ahead there. whoops, that's number 2. Go back. There we are. The first round was almost 2 years ago. It was August of 2013. And that was the recycling of the redevelopment authority funds. And you can see almost 3 million was, in that case, was towards the shelters. But then the other 7 projects that are listed, as a result really of this policy and this funding and your strategic vision, 4 of the projects, the ones in blue, are under construction as we speak. The next 3 will be, 5 and 7, will be under construction in a matter of a couple months or a few months. And Gateway Senior, I'll comment on again in the next slide, but that's actually becoming close. So that was the Affordable Housing Fund. We ended up calling it 1.0. And then the following year, 2.0, August of 14, an additional $5 million, $500,000 was set aside for agricultural workforce housing projects. So there was $4.5 million distributed. Another project, which was on the prior page. So sometimes there's we'll see a project more than once. 6800 Mission Street, as I mentioned, in Daly City, is under construction. And University Avenue is about to break ground. 612 Jefferson is the Habitat for Humanity project in downtown Redwood City, getting very close to its funding commitments. And new last year was Colma Veterans Village. That is an exciting project. We have 2 veterans projects. So we have the Menlo Park VA campus project that's under construction, going extremely well. It's ahead of schedule. It'll be finished probably by Thanksgiving, with occupancy in December. And so we're glad to have this joined by the Colma Veterans Village, which is, and I'd mentioned that Barbara Gualco is here, who's the Director of Real Estate Development for Mercy Housing. This is a Mercy project with land, below market rate land being provided by the Archdiocese.
On that, Bill, when is that intended has that started, or is it?
That's still in planning.
Just still in planning, okay.
I believe that Barbara said she has spoken to almost every living resident of Colma, and
it didn't take long.
A distinction. And the funding is coming together on that, but it'll be a little more time. I believe with last year's reallocation of veterans bond money, we've been in discussion. We've been planning with Mercy as to how we can position that project so that it's eligible for both project basing of VASH veterans vouchers and also the state veterans bond money.
One other question, if I may. Is that in unincorporated Colma, or is that in incorporated Colma?
It's in the town of Colma.
Okay.
So those 2, what I wanted to say, I've mentioned it before, but it is so important, I wanted to repeat it, that I had gone back about 15 years or so, and in the county we've typically had 1 affordable housing project under construction at any one time. And occasionally I found 2 at the same time. There are 4 at the moment, and by the end of the summer there will be 7 under construction, so it's unprecedented and really so important, it bears repeating. Hey. Here we go. So the recommendations for today, this is a total of $6 million. Okay. And $2.5 million is coming from Measure A, $3.5 million from the Housing Authority. In one, but we did it as to make that invisible to the community, basically one $6 million Notice of Funding Availability, or NOFA. And it was broken up, as usual, into kind of a few different buckets of funding, if you will. So the recommendations are, and this went through staff analysis, staff recommendations to the Housing Community Development Commission, and those are in line on the right-hand column, and we bring those recommendations to you. development projects, Gateway Senior Housing. So this is the one that also had us on accelerated schedule. It will be applying for tax credits in the July 1st round if everything is agreeable. And so that's just around the corner. So hence we've really tried to move this along. At that point, well, obviously that will then be fully funded, and we'll have a very strong application for tax credits. There's very strong competition from Santa Clara County. We do have with Mid-Penn a backup plan that hopefully even one way or another that will be happening this year. Waverly Place from Mental Health Associates, they scored extremely high and won state funds from the MHP program for special populations, and they had a small gap remaining. So this is that small gap, and that project's ready to go. We have some pre-planning projects. Gateway Phase 2, so that's the other block on Willow Road of the old Gateway project. So it's early development, but proceeding nicely. The Colma Veterans Village we were just talking about. Rotary Plaza, it is a senior project in the city of South San Francisco. Wonderful application because I'll forget the exact number, but roughly $10 million of a $30+ million project is being provided by Rotary International. So we like to see that. And then St. Francis Center in unincorporated in North Fair Oaks. And then we also, as we discussed in our affordable housing meetings with you and planning sessions, we talked about trying to look at a preservation model that would potentially buy buildings that are now sometimes called naturally affordable, but basically not so high rent, and be able to basically take those off the market. It's targeted more to workforce, to probably 80% of AMI and above, and there isn't typically any public subsidy at that level. The tax credit's cut off at 60% of AMI. So Mid-Penn put together a proposal, a very attractive proposal where they have looked at a model that would, within the 80 to 100, 110% of AMI, some mix, be able to purchase a property, depending on what can be found, and be able to then also restrict the rents for that population. And so we have a lot of details to go. Our loan agreement with them in this, our agreement for moving forward on this has a lot to be worked out. But Mid-Penn is already, I know they've been out looking, so we'll see how that proceeds. It's very tricky. It's the moderate income housing that's been done to date involves the donation of land and typically additional public subsidy. And we're looking here at, how can we restricted this to a maximum of $50,000 per unit of public subsidy. How can we do this? We chose $50,000 because that's what we restrict also our public subsidy contribution to for new construction. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can I make a comment on this latter one with preservation? What we're seeing is that larger corporations are buying up properties that is really affordable now. And they do some minor repairs and upgrade, and they evict everybody and jack the rents way up. So this is kind of doing the opposite of essentially being in competition with those people to see if we can actually, through Mid-Penn, purchase some of those buildings that currently are affordable and then maintaining them at affordable. We probably also would do some, or Mid-Penn would probably also do some upgrading of them as well. But it's really kind of try and stop some of these. I mean, it's really difficult to do because there are, so many of these, I guess their real estate investment trusts have a lot of money, and they're buying up places all over the county and doing this. It's not, and I know the apartment association says they're just a few bad actors. Well, there's a lot of bad actors, and we're seeing an awful lot of them throughout the whole county. So this really is a way of countering that, or at least us trying to do something about that.
Mr. Malpe?
Madam President, members of the board, Bill, actually, I want to say two things. First of all, this type of list and the progress that we've made on it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of outstanding leadership, and Bill Lowell has provided that leadership, and I want to thank Bill publicly for that. Bill, with respect to the demonstration project, is it possible that potentially there might be a motel on the market where we could create SROs and that would qualify for that?
It would certainly qualify. I'm not aware of what's on the market, but it would definitely qualify. And so any type of existing residential could be used.
The last time at one of our hearings, I think you expressed the sentiment that buying a motel was highly unlikely. Maybe you could.
The problem is just depending on location, but so many of them being on either El Camino or 101, the property is worth so much money that while the motel looks a little broken down, the property is worth a small fortune.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Lowell.
I just wanted to echo Supervisor Horsley's comments about the preservation demonstration. I think, I'm really pleased to see we're giving this a try because, preserving what we have is a great way to go. It's very expensive to build affordable housing from the ground up, even with a public entity providing the land. It's expensive, and I'm hoping this will prove to be a more efficient way of preserving more of this affordable housing.
No, I just would, I think.
I thought you were going to make a motion.
Oh,
Supervisor
I'm
Horsley.
sorry. I will make a motion, but I'm also going to echo John Malpe's comments about Bill Lowell. He's just a phenomenal person to work with. He's a problem solver. So no matter and one of the things I really appreciate, he may say, well, you can't do it that way, but we'll do it this way. So he makes things happen. So I will make the motion to adopt the resolution approving the Affordable Housing Fund commitments, I guess A and B, and authorize the director of the Department of Housing to execute contracts as approved by County Council.
Second.
Okay. I think we all want to express our gratitude to Mr. Lowell and his whole team, and to Peggy Jensen, who has been helping a great deal to get all this stuff to us. And so with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, excellent. Don't go away, because you have next item. Oh, we have number 9, don't we?
Were those included together? Because they add up to 6 million.
Yeah, we have number 9.
Oh, okay.
It is. I never do this again. We combined, because the Housing Authority and the county are two separate
Yes.
legal entities. The actions are split into, then the contracts are split between the two of them. So we do need a second item
I'll
for.
move approval of item number 9, A and B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, excellent. We can leave, we can't not approve this stuff, or else we'll be back here next month trying to do it over again.
If I may just jump in real quickly, I know the board is considering a number of ideas about preservation and production of affordable housing. It's paramount on the collective board's mind. And yesterday, you may have seen that California Supreme Court decision that came down.
Yes, it did.
In favor of City of San Jose's inclusionary housing ordinance. The effect of that is that we, as this board knows, we have an inclusionary housing ordinance, which says that anytime a developer is going to build 5 or more units, that they have to set aside 20% for affordable housing. So the effect of that decision is that our inclusionary housing ordinance is now valid in the eyes of the law. So that was, of course, as we presented as one of your things to think about. Items. One thing we had mentioned was there's this decision pending before the California Supreme Court, so it remains to be seen. What's going to happen to our current inclusionary housing ordinance. So now the California Supreme Court has spoken, and that's good news for our county. So.
It is. Good news for some of the cities also.
Yeah.
County Manager, you have a whole bunch here today, John. Number 10?
Madam President, members of the board, I'm really pleased to recommend this morning that you confirm the appointment of Steve Monowitz as our Community Development Director. Steve has been acting in that capacity for approximately a year. In my view, he's done an outstanding job. We went through an extensive recruitment process. He came out number one in that process, and I think he will continue to make a great community development director. I recommend your approval.
I'll move approval with stars.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Can
we're
I
just,
make a quick comment to the chair?
I was gonna say something you go ahead.
Well,
No,
I was
you go-
actually.
go right ahead.
You might have been saying the same thing I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, but I went to the Coastal Commission with Steve about a project that we have on the coast, Surfers Beach, and I got up and I introduced him and I said he's a former employee of the Coastal Commission, and I'm proud to announce that he will be confirmed. I was assuming my colleagues would do it, would be affirmed as a new director of building and planning. His father's 92 years of age, and he was thinking about if he could somehow have his dad kind of look at this process, but unfortunately, he's not as computer literate, so we'll have to tape this for him and send it back to your dad, who's also a World War II vet. So congratulations.
I was just going to say how happy I am for you, Steve, and how happy I am for the county, because in the short time you've been interim, I think you have made a variety of improvements, and I think that there's been much more timely responses, and we look forward to more great work from you.
Steve, I just want to echo what Supervisor Groom just said. Our work together in North Fair Oaks has been, can I say, voluminous? And it continues to be in some of the responses that you've sent to people have been proactive and sort of cut off some of the chatter. But that work is really appreciated, and I know you're looking at some organizational changes, and obviously code enforcement is an important topic, and I know you've been dealing with that, and I just appreciate the proactivity that you've demonstrated in this year. So congratulations, and look forward to working with you some more.
Steve, and I often tell people, and I'm sure I've said it to you too, is that I think your job is the hardest job in the county, and you've really moving everything in the right direction, and we're very fortunate to have you at the helm.
And maybe I'll just add one more, because at one of our last meetings, we had asked him to take a look at code enforcement and all that's going on. And before you know it, he's got a plan together. He's working on it. He's talking about staffing. And, that just shows that he's listening to the board and he's listening to the community. So that's very helpful, and you're doing a great job.
So congratulations.
Congratulations. Did you want to make a speech? I could tell he had his iPad out.
All right.
Most of us are still looking at the paper, and he's at the iPad. That's how cutting edge he is.
Well, thank you. I do have a couple words to say.
Hey, I knew it.
First, that I'm very humbled to join the ranks of the accomplished professionals that lead our various county departments, and it really is an honor to serve the county in this important position. It's a privilege for me to lead the planning and building department in the important work it does in terms of serving our communities, protecting our environment, preserving our natural resources, and beautiful open spaces. And as a surfer, I've got to say it's pretty cool having mavericks in my jurisdiction as well. But in all seriousness, the diverse range of issues that we have to deal with, the incredible landscapes that we work within, the committed and intelligent people that we have an opportunity to collaborate with really makes this job, in my opinion, one of the most desirable jobs that a planner and public servant can hold. So I'd like to thank all the folks who have helped me get here, particularly all the staff of the planning and building department that do the hard work day in and day out, as well as the staff from the Board of Supervisors, the county manager's office, and county council, whose support has enabled my success to date. Finally, I want to express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you for the confidence that you've placed in me in confirming this appointment. There are sure to be challenges ahead, but also great opportunities to serve our community and to protect our environment. And I look forward to all that we will accomplish together in that regard. So thank you very much.
County manager report, we have it? Want to bring something out?
Just a couple of quick highlights, Madam President. As Supervisor Slocum noted last week, you received what is now known as ID1 for the Veteran Services. I wanted to call out that Cindy Chan has presented to her colleagues a report on our veterans housing, and it was so well received, it's now regarded as the Cindy Chan model for veterans housing, which is a nice compliment. I'm not going to discuss the hackathon because I suspect Supervisor Slocum wants to talk about that, and the rest of my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. We're going to go to item number 12, which is also county manager's item, or is that? Okay, Raina, thank you.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the board. I'm pleased to be here today to present the contracts. We have 12 agreements related to Measure A. So in March, your board adopted the allocation plan for Measure A for fiscal years 15 through 17. And in April, you also adopted the continuing Measure A projects that will carry over from the prior years. So today we're bringing 12 agreements and amendments to agreements related to the priorities of your board and the county around homelessness, older adults, and foster youth and at-risk youth. So I'll go down the list really quickly, and there is a full list on attachment A of your board packet. So for homelessness, we have the expansion of the HOT teams, the homeless outreach teams. We've added 50% to that agreement with Envision Shelter Network to create a more comprehensive countywide coverage of the HOT teams. We also have the telecare agreement. It's actually an amendment to the telecare agreement. This is for the industrial hotel in South San Francisco, and this will be for improvements to the hotel for the individual rooms and common areas that are serving some of our mental health clients. And we also have Focus Strategies. So Focus Strategies is working with the county through the Human Services Agency on the homelessness system redesign. They did the analysis a few months ago and are helping us work through the strategic plan to meet our homelessness goals. And they'll also be doing the motel voucher evaluation for that program. And then for foster youth, we have CASA. This is the Court-Appointed Special Advocates of San Mateo County, and they'll continue to train mentors for our foster care youth with this contract. We have Star Vista. This is for their adolescent abuse hotline prevention program, and Lucky Kids Club. This is part of our prevention programs for at-risk youth. Also, Star Vista is the Daybreak program and transitional youth housing. This is for foster care and at-risk youth services in South San Francisco. A new one for Star Vista is the Early Childhood Community Team. So these are teams that will be established in 3 regions of the county. So in North County, South County, and the coast side to provide mental health services to youth 0 to 5 and their families. And then for older adults, we have the Daly City Peninsula Partnership Collaborative. That's for the Friendly Visiting and Meals Express program. We have the Edgewood Center for Children and Families. That is for the Kinship Caregiver Mental Health Counseling program. These are all new contracts. Institute on Aging, that's for the Friendship Line. The Alzheimer's Association of Northern California and Northern Nevada, that is for dementia-capable services and supports. And then the Ombudsman Services of San Mateo County, and this is to train community volunteers to monitor our long-term care facilities in the county. So in total, the contracts before you today are $5,489,916, and we will be taking additional contracts to your board related to Measure A and the allocation plan that you've approved in the coming months. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Just a quick question. Under the Star Vista Early Childhood Community Team, is that, I just want to make sure we're not duplicating any work that the Daly City Partnership is doing. Is this completely different than the services being provided there?
I need to ask health for that. My understanding is that they have spoken to the CBOs in the areas, but I'll follow up on
Because
Daly
we ran
City.
into this last time where, and not that Star Vista does great work, I don't have a problem with it, but they were doing things in the Mid-South County and Daly City Partnership. If Daly City Partnership isn't doing this type of work around the mental health, that's one thing. But if they are, one, I don't want to duplicate, and two, if we need to enhance it, it should go to the Daly City Partnership. But maybe Pat Bones here, I'm just curious, if it's not, I don't want to, please.
We actually partner with Star Vista at our second home. We have a mental health clinician that we pay for partially out of a CCAT grant. However, going forward, that may change. And we also have a mental health clinician that we pay for out of, which is one of ours, out of a CCAT grant too. But they serve 0 to 19 because of the CCAT grant is aimed at preventing child abuse for children and adolescents. Whereas Star Vista, we're part of the early childhood team, but it is restricted to 0 to 5.
Okay, so this isn't duplicating?
No, it's
Okay,
not.
That's all
not
I want to know.
duplicated, no.
It's just, thank you, Pat.
Okay, Supervisor Pine?
I just one clarifying question on the expansion of the HUT team effort. And as I've spoken many times, I think this is one of our best tools for getting people service. And over the last week, I've spent a great deal of time with a new homeless encampment in San Bruno, which is, I can speak more about that in my board member comments. But the Envision Shelter Network provides services to those individuals today. But what doesn't exist in San Bruno is it doesn't have the classic team, HUT team, where mental health and law enforcement and Envision Shelter Network, meet periodically to talk about those clients. So it's not really the HUT team. It's just, so will this kind of funding allow us to to have that more team approach in San Bruno? We don't need an Envision person there all the time, but what the magic of the HUD approach is when you get all the people together, which again it's happening in South City, it's happening in other parts of the county. We don't have that team in San Bruno.
Right. And my understanding is this will add resources to those teams that will enable us to extend those services to other communities.
So we would be able to establish a team in San Bruno and
Right, on a ad hoc basis, that's correct.
Yeah, but the team needs to be, they meet regularly. They
Right.
got to, it would just not take as much Envision Shelter time as it would in South City.
Right, and as it wouldn't be always just directed at San Bruno. There would be other areas that team would cover as well.
Yeah, I guess I want to just, or maybe we can talk more about this offline. But like those folks in San Bruno, they have a growing homelessness problem. There's a team of people who serve them that might be a little different than the team that served the folks in Millbrae or something. Because usually the team is somewhat localized.
Right. That's correct.
So through the chair, Supervisor Pine, maybe I can answer that. So I did get an update from HSA. They're going to meet with Envision to take a look at the entire contract for the HOT teams and make sure that we have coverage in every part of the county. And the way the HOT teams are structured, it is a multidisciplinary approach.
Right.
And the way, what we had done with amending the contract was just to get a countywide coverage, not necessarily a multidisciplinary approach. So they'll make sure that, and we have Jessica Silverberg in the audience. She's their new homelessness manager. She'll work with Envision to make sure that each community gets the same level of support and services as the existing HOT teams.
All right, thank you.
I'd be happy to make the motion to adopt the resolutions, parts 8B, A, B, and C.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Maltby and Ms. Vizfaralis.
And thank you for putting all these agreements in place. A lot of work here, and this is our core work.
So now we'll go to board member reports. Supervisor Pine, would you like to start?
A couple things. We had a very successful Sealville Rise meeting on June 5th to launch our countywide vulnerability assessment. So we're really happy to have that up and running. And concurrent with that, the Office of Sustainability has made a new hired Hillary Peppendick, who is our new climate resiliency specialist, and she is going to be a great asset to the work in this area and in other areas of climate adaptation, beyond sea level rise. So that was, we're thrilled to have her. Also, as you may recall, the county was successful in obtaining a grant from the Coastal Conservancy to do some work around San Bruno Creek and Coma Creek, and that study is close to conclusion. We brought together the working group, and I think it will provide a good foundation for future work in the Coma subzone, which is one of the few places the county actually has money to do work. And then finally, as I started to mention earlier, spent some good amount of time last week focusing on a new homeless encampment that is grown up on our unincorporated lands near the San Bruno Channel, tucked between 101 and San Bruno Avenue. And it's incredible how fast these things can emerge. I mean, it is a substantial encampment. And everyone throughout the county has been incredibly helpful in focusing on that. And Mike Callaghy has already done great work to bring the resources together to address that situation. So I'm grateful for that. And then the other thing I must say, I need to follow up with Gene and Steve, because when you go out to these sites, it's so sobering, because there's one individual who lives there in like a doghouse kind of shelter. He doesn't have any legs, and he's a drug addict. And it's not clear to me, maybe does he qualify for conservatorship? Because it's such a frustrating point for me, and I'm sure for all of us, that under our current legal system, you have the right to live in pretty severe conditions. And it's not like these folks are not, Envision Shelter has been trying to help these individuals. These are the treatment resistance individuals. Mm-hmm. And they will be moved from this site, but where they go next is an open question. Hopefully the fact that an encampment is not there will provide more incentive to take advantage of some services. But it's a very sobering thing to witness.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I just want to thank my colleague, the president of the board, Carol Groom, for our comments at the Coastal Commission. You were very influential, I know, in getting that CDP for us at the Surfers Beach, and I also appreciated your comments as well. It's kind of interesting thing. It kind of goes along with what the Supervisor Pine is talking about. The Surfers Beach and that project that we're doing actually is probably one of the first examples of what's happening to the California coast from king tides and eventual sea level rise. And so that it turns out that, and I didn't realize this until we started building or working on this project, is that Highway 1 actually serves on the coast side as a berm that really prevents a lot of flooding. For example, like El Granada would be flooded if it weren't for that Highway 1. So it's an interesting project, and I really appreciate your help on that. Then I have two adjourned memories. Unfortunately, Barbara Talley Nocon, actually she was known as Bobby. She was married to one of my former deputies, Vince Nocon. She was born in 1952 in the state of Maryland to Floyd and Aikiko Maya Talley. She graduated from the University of Southern Illinois with a Bachelor of Science degree in sociology. She worked for the County of San Mateo as a senior probation officer until she retired in 2005. She enjoyed and was quite talented in arts and crafts, painting, interior design, generously shared her gifts with family and friends. She volunteered for the 2014 San Mateo County Grand Jury and devoted much time assisting the Japanese American Community Center with their annual rummage sale. She was always a welcoming, creative, and gracious hostess. Blessedly brought family and friends together for special occasions, and shared her abundant love and kindness with stray, broken, and unwanted animals, and her pets and animal visitors were always cared for and loved with a special place in her heart. And on a personal note, she did have breast cancer. My sister-in-law did as well, and my sister-in-law reports that Bobby was incredibly supportive and helpful for her to get through a really trying time for my sister-in-law as well as my family. So I really owe her, Bobby, a lot for that. The other is Lorraine Dooley. She's 67, longtime Coastside resident, passed away a couple weeks back. She's born in Pink Hill, North Carolina, and raised on a small farm with 4 other siblings. She and John, and I think many of us know John Dooley, they were married at Our Lady of the Pillar Catholic Church, October 8th, 1966. And they originally lived abroad in Munich, Germany, while John served in the armed forces. And upon returning to the States after a couple of years abroad, the couple had their first 2 children, Antoinette Marie and son Tony. Actually, Lorraine used to work at Hazel Seafood, and I think many of us know it's now Barbara's Fish Trap or something like that. Yeah, Barbara's Fish Trap is really kind of a iconic place on the coast side. And she later worked with Ampex in Belmont, another iconic place that really no longer exists. Worked for Wells Fargo and worked there for about 20 years until retirement. And she and her husband were active members in the community and supported many initiatives to improve education. And additionally, she was actively involved in the San Francisco Archdiocese Catholic schools with her children, and her children and her grandchildren both attended. She loved sports, spent a great deal of time attending her son's high school and college football games, enjoyed good food and socialized with family and friends, revered by her beloved family, had a great sense of humor, and she supported her husband and her business partner, as is Robert Dooley, in their commercial fishing business. Together, they built 5 commercial fishing vessels, 2 of which were built and launched locally in Princeton. And although the business is primarily out of Seattle, Washington, they successfully grew and managed their business together for 49 years. They had fishing boats in Alaska, in Seattle, and in Princeton as well. And they are, Bob Dooley is he's very successful fisherman. It was one time at the, and many of us have gone to the farm day. He was honored as, I don't know if it was the farmer of the year, but he was the guy that had all the fish at your meal. So in any case, I know that he is very sad about losing Lorraine, as we all are.
Supervisor Tissier, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm going to adjourn in memory of Michelle Marie Barros. She passed away June 11th, unexpectedly at home at the age of 48. She leaves behind her, do you know her?
No, but 48.
Yeah, she leaves behind her daughter Mariah, her granddaughter Bella, her sisters Deb Bazan, Gina Barros, her mother Jean Barros, and her brother Dave Barros. So our sympathy goes out to their family. On a lighter note, I wanted to report about Disaster Preparedness Day 2 weeks ago on Saturday, June 6th. One of our more successful ones. Through the gate, the first hour that was free for parking and entering, 4,156 people entered during the first hour. There were over 30 exhibitors who represent cities and organizations that helped individuals prepare for disaster. We also had free friends and family CPR workshops, public safety vehicles, and a presentation coordinated by our Office of Emergency Services. The initial numbers for that day at the fair indicates that there was a 25% increase in fair attendance this year. So it's a beautiful day out there and a lot of people. Also, just a reminder that the upcoming Age Well Drive Smart seminars, one is in South San Francisco, Tuesday, July 28th at the Magnolia Center at 9 a.m. And another one this summer, Tuesday, August 25th at Twin Pines Senior Center at 9:30 a.m. So hopefully people can join us at those.
Supervisor Slocum?
Thank you. Mr. Maltby, I like your hackathon write-up better than mine, so I'm going to give your report. The hackathon was held about a week and a half ago on a Saturday up at HSA on Harbor. And when I walked in the morning, you could just feel the electricity in the air, and you looked at these 70-some young people, I mean young people, who were there with computers open and, you know, I don't know what they were doing, but going at it before the program actually started. And it was just amazing to see the diversity in the room and the youth in the room. It was just amazing. I want to thank Ileana and Donna Valancourt and, of course, Raina, who was there all day. But there were 23 teams of hackers with approximately 70 folks who participated, and it was all day. The youngest fellow was 12 years old, and he was just an amazing guy with a laptop sitting there programming. It was just incredible to see. There were four judges were so impressed with this young man that they awarded him a $500 special recognition prize, which was very cool, I thought. And in total, there was $11,500 given away. It's amazing that $22,000 was raised for this event. So we have enough money left over to do another one, which I'm really looking forward to. First prize went to Team, this is their name, Homeless Analytics, which developed an app to help policymakers better collect data and make decisions about allocating resources for the homeless. Other ideas mapped ADA issues like the lack of a ramp for access to a building, for instance, gave reading analytics for third graders, and mapped school participation, encouraged third grade reading by recommending books. This could be part of the big lift, Supervisor. I don't know. But they also created this kind of Uber application for leftover food so that leftover food could be used to feed the hungry. Oh. And they also there was an application that let parents track student progress on demand through a website that would also give school ratings and consolidate the registration process. It was really an amazing day, and my hat's off to all the participants and to the county folks who were there to support that. And thank you for the report. One close in memory today, close in memory of Debbie Torres, North Fair Oaks small business owner who passed away recently. And the first time I met Debbie was at my swearing-in ceremony over at the community center in North Fair Oaks, and she came up and introduced herself to me. And she didn't know a whole lot about county government, but every time I had office hours there, she would show up, bring a pizza, bring candy, bring fruit. It was really amazing. And I think her goal was to learn something about the public sector and to participate in her neighborhood in helping keep it clean and safe for community members. She always contributed to the North Fair Oaks cleanup day, and she was also, by the way, bilingual and volunteered a lot of her time on the Middlefield Road redesign project. And she was really a special person. So she also would provide security patrols out of her own pocket for the Siena Youth Center. So hats off to all her contributions. I'd like to recognize them and just extend our condolences to her family.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to closed session, and then we'll report out.
It's funny, I was going to say
Mr. Byers, will you report out from closed session, please?
Thank you, President Groom. The board met in closed session to consider two items, a labor negotiations item and a potential litigation item, and no action was taken.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.